Hi, Mom and Dad, Dave and Jackie. It is April 24th, 2020, and we're going to continue with our stories, and this one's going to be on your favorite travels. Where did you go that you still think about today and your memories was one of the best places you've been? You've been on cruises, you've been to Europe, Ireland. Where else did you go in Europe?
New Zealand,
New Zealand.
one of the best places we ever went.
New Zealand, lots of cruises.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, I remember taking lots of motorhome trips. We always were going places. So what is one of your favorite memories? Dad, you could go first and then Mom.
I think a favorite trip, we went to New Zealand. We had met a couple from New Zealand at a CBMC international conference, and we got acquainted with them, and they were they were both from New Zealand, and so we had something to talk about in the fact that I was immediately after the war, we went to New Zealand to pick up a load of food and to take back up to Japan, and where they had dropped the atomic bomb. But anyway, we were on vacation in Hawaii and decided to go to New Zealand and see if we could find these folks and see what
See where they lived?
where they lived and the land. So we did, and the thing, we crossed the international date line, and we missed them by a day. When we got there, they said, "No, you're not coming till tomorrow." So that's how the thing started out. But we did have a wonderful time. We went from the north to the south, to the north end to the Bay of Islands. In the south, we went all of the resort areas. We went to Christchurch, flew over Mount Cook to Queenstown, the resort area on the Tasman Sea coast, and we really enjoyed it. It's such a beautiful land, and we didn't realize it was as unique as it was. A lot of sheep, and we met farmers and had a wonderful time. I think that was one of the most memorable trips we took.
Really? So like sheeps, they had lots of meadows and land where the sheep would graze, and
Hills and
sheep would be on the hills. That must have been so pretty.
yeah, it was very beautiful.
It was a wonderful trip. And the reason like Dad said, the reason we went there is we had met the couple, and their names were Gordon and Margaret Pello from New Zealand.
I remember them.
Yes. In fact, you used to, what was it you used to call them? The
No,
kids?
I didn't. Ashley remembered. When Ashley met him, she said, "Are you Crocodile Dundee?"
Well, because they had the New Zealand accent.
Uh-huh.
Well, Margaret Pello, Mrs. Pello, was the prima ballerina of New Zealand and Australia. And she married Gordon, and he was a mortician, and had the largest facility for funerals and burial and so forth, and it was very interesting. Dad went there to see all that. Margaret and I went shopping.
Of course.
But we stayed with them, and we had a wonderful time. Margaret had been on the stage performing for years and years prior to that time, and I didn't have anything in common with her like that. But we had a great time, and
was that your favorite trip too?
yeah, I would say that was my favorite overseas trip. That's for sure.
Okay.
And it ended up that the years after that, they're both in heaven now, But back then, they actually came to the United States more often than we went to New Zealand. So we were, when we lived in Pasadena, we saw them several times when they would come for conferences and so forth that they were involved in. And we just
Good
had a
time.
good time and a good.
What was your
friendship.
favorite motorhome trip?
Going to Oregon to see Don and Joanne. And then
Those were fun. We'd
Yeah.
stop on the coast and look for agates. Then Uncle Donald would put them in his machine. What was that machine called?
a rock machine.
A rock tumbler.
Tumbler.
Right.
Yeah.
Oregon was so pretty. I remember all those trips.
Yeah. Well, we started going to Oregon when we lived in Indianapolis. We would make trips there back and forth. They would come to Indianapolis and usually stay a week in the summer, and vice versa. We would go down and see them. And
In Atlanta.
yeah, this was before we lived in California. So we grew very close to Don and Joanne as far as friendships and playing games together, cards and so forth. And we got along just really well. In fact, those years, Joanne was my closest friend. And I think back to those years and I still miss her. Because we developed a great friendship. And she used to say, I'm not the easiest person to get along with. And I said, oh, you are for me. And I remember Joanne said to me, well, that's because I love you, Jackie. You have what I don't have. And I said, well, you have what I don't have. That's why we get along. So
Yeah, she was.
we just had a good relationship. And I'm thankful for it. And I still miss her.
Yeah.
And try and tell Lyndall that too when I talk to her. I really miss your mom, Lyndall, because she was my closest friend for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know
also,
you talk a lot about her.
yeah. Not only that, we shared our Christian faith, and she appreciated that because, sometimes you don't talk to everybody about that.
Yeah,
But she and I
she
talked
did.
about it, and I'm grateful for that.
What
I
about
think-
you, Dad? What was your favorite motorhome trip?
I'm trying to think. We took so many. One trip we took to Alaska I thought was nice. It was a
cruise.
but also the land coverage. And we went on the train up to Fairbanks and did the river trip in Fairbanks, and then came back down to what's the park where the big mountain is? Can't think of the name of it.
Anchorage.
The highest place in it. Anyway, it was a resort area, and normally the mountain is all fogged in and difficult to take pictures. However, we had sunny days and we took a lot of pictures, and we were blessed. But unfortunately, I stumbled down and had a heart attack up there, and it went right down on my knees, and I thought, I just asked the Lord, don't let me die up here.
Wow.
And finally hobbled back to the lodge, and Mom gave me a couple of aspirins. And fortunately, we were on our way home then, so we came on home and had a couple more heart attacks. And then finally went in and had open heart surgery, and they put some,
triple bypass.
Yeah, the triple bypass.
yeah, the bypass surgery. They took veins from my leg, but that was a memorable trip for us too. We took so many trips, the motorhome trips up into the Canadian Rockies and Lake Louise, and it was unforgettable. beautiful scenery.
And then I know you and Mom went back east. Didn't you go
Yeah, we went
to
back-
Maine or?
Mm-hmm.
took a trip back. We flew into Boston and visited with an old friend that we had met years back. She gave us a home, and we rented a car there and went on up the coast of Maine, Bar Harbor, Maine. We took a ferry over to Nova Scotia, went clear up to the northern tip of Nova Scotia. Alexander Graham Bell's was where he was from. It was an unforgettable trip through Halifax, the Bay of Fundy, and different things. Then we motored along to Montreal. What was the other town? The big town with that big hotel we stayed.
I forgot.
What was the most beautiful state? Where did you think it was the prettiest?
Oh, I don't know, probably New Hampshire, Vermont. Beautiful.
Did you go to Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
We went there after we were first married. We went down to Washington, D.C., and Don and Joanne. Don was going to the University of Maryland at that time. It was right after the war. And, but we traveled down when Don and Joanne's family lived in Atlanta. We, as Mom said, we went back and forth. They would visit us, we would visit them. And one time we went on down, both families, we went on down, spent a lot of time in Florida, all of the resort areas. We've done a lot of traveling, and it's something you never get tired of, but we're a little old for it now.
Oh, we've done enough. I mean,
Was there any place you went that was a disaster that you think, oh, I don't need to go back there again?
I don't know where that would be.
where they put the bomb.
Huh?
You were there in the Navy when you were in the Navy, and
Oh, no, that's when we,
well, I'm backing up in time.
after VJ Day, we thought we were going to turn around and come home, and that was where we started out. We went down to New Zealand. It was a place that we could load up with food, fruit, vegetables, meat, and that was our ship, was a refrigerated cargo ship. That's all we carried was food.
And it was
And
the
so-
USS Merapi. You have it on your shirt, right?
Yeah, and we went
That was
back
your
up.
ship.
After we were loaded up, we were there a couple of weeks to getting loaded up, or 3 weeks, I don't remember. But then we went up to Nagasaki, where they had dropped the atomic bomb. One of the bombs is where the Mitsubishi facility was. That was the big thing there, that they built the Zero airplanes. And it was unbelievable, just as flat as this dining room table, the whole city.
High-rise buildings were gone. Dad said you could see they had high rises, but
Yeah, it was just flat. There was some twisted steel off in the distance, but otherwise it was just flat. We made a stop at Hiroshima. Another stop at Jinsen, Korea. The Japanese had a prison camp there. And then we came on home by the Great Circle route up through the Aleutian Islands, and the water was so cold the ship wouldn't hardly run. It was, of course, a
Wow.
diesel operated engine, and you have to keep them warm and hot to run good. And the water was, I think, 36 degrees, so that was close to being frozen.
Right.
But we finally got home, and that was the end of that trip.
So that's a place you might not want to really go back to visit.
No.
That was
Well,
in
thank you for
wartime.
your service.
What?
Thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I guess right now that'll end our travel section. And I will talk to you two later. Thank you for your interview. Bye.
Bye.